What's it, YouTube? Del here from Zephyr with another live duel commentary from locals. So on the left we have Dogmatica and on the right we have DoomZ. So I was lucky enough to win the dice roll on this one, so we're going to be starting off with the DoomZ strategy. Now, working our way into 5 as our normal summon, which will search you out 8. In an ideal scenario, what you're trying to do with the DoomZ cards is you want to get to your rank 8. The rank 8 is the most disruptive of the two. The rank 4 is okay. I feel like the deck could do with a couple of more rank options for them, but this is like the baseline combo of either opening up a DoomZ that can be destroyed at +8, +12, or DoomZ 5, as we've seen here, to get you into the Drastius. And in doing so, what you're trying to do is you kind of save your XZs for when your opponent has a monster on the field, because when you XZs your rank 8, that absorbs or equips a monster your opponent controls to it on summon, and then every time they activate an effect, you detach a material to then do the exact same. So, and when you make it with the equip spell card, which means that the first time it would be the baseline XZ's effect is the first time it would be destroyed by I believe battle card effect is not destroyed, but the equip spell gives it the ability that it has a quick effect to destroy another card you control on the field, and then you gain attack stats equal to its own level times 100, so it makes it a little bit stronger. And it does have another effect that I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. But you can see here we've got in the Deer Servant, so we chain the ability to XZs, so we resolve this, and the reason that we're going to be doing that one is the plan was to take away a monster from the extra deck on the field. So it goes chain link 1 Identity Ints to try and destroy the rank 8. Rank 8, it will be chaining 2 to equip the Almirage. And obviously the first time it will be destroyed by a card effect, it's not destroyed, so it survives the Natis, and that's another reason why you would XZs. I suppose in theory I could have done it on the second chain as well. It would have been the exact same outcome, because probably doing it on the second chain would have been better, because once they resolve the Natis, if I then chain the Drastrius then is no longer on the field to be destroyed by Natis, so Natis loses its target, and then this would still not be destroyed twice. So we're going to be using Maximus's effect. We're going to chain the rank 8's effect to then equip the Maximus from our opponent's side of the field. And we're chaining Fledilis in the hand, which is quite annoying. I suppose this is one of the other added benefits, like with hindsight, is if I had done it the other way around, then Fledilis comes down to negate the 8 and then go from there. So I'm sending 2 from my extra deck with because of Maximus. I send App Cologne and a rank 8. I think the one that I had in this one was Buzz King. But the idea of sending the App Clone is you search out Schism, which means I could technically set up a window for the next turn. I do have to discard a card, so I discard the Medius the Pure, because Medius has a really cool graveyard effect that you can summon it back from the graveyard by putting a monster on your field back into the deck. So it all hand as well, to be honest. Really, really good option here. Now it looks like we're continuing on the Dogmatica side, which is looking pretty strong. Like, we've sent Lulu Walif. Lulu Walif's effect will be able to trigger. We sent Herald of the Arclight and Garura during the Maximus effect, which searched out the ritual spell Dogmatica Calamity, and this is going to get us into the Zoa, and Zoa technically just rips your extra deck apart. And we're also going to use Frost. Like, this hand's pretty good. Nadir Servant, Frost into, I mean, could go for like a Raigeki. Would be quite annoying here. I'm pretty sure it can't be targeted by card effects. Yeah, so we go for punishment instead. I think that's like, initially they were going to go for Ultimate Slayer, and they were, oh, it targets. So yeah, decided not to do that one, which is absolutely fine. So it's currently negated, which is why I can't buff its attack stats, which is really annoying. And then I'm going to get 4k to the face off of the back of the Zoa, which is massively painful, I'm not going to lie. And now using the effect to pretty much tear my extra deck apart, and just counting how many cards I have in my extra deck of like how many I'd want to get rid of. Luckily, with the DoomZ deck, the way that I'd kind of built it is I had a couple of generic cards, And the only ones like I focus on is the rank 4 and the rank 8. You do have some other options, like Zeus could be quite useful, so if you're able to keep that, you keep that. I can tell that my opponent's not going to summon from the extra deck, so I don't need to hold on to Typhon. I'm not going to be able to get free equip monsters to one of my monsters, so I'm not going to hold on to the Justified. Yeah, there's just like a lot of different ones there. Just checking that it's obviously Lulu Wildlife to resolve here. And it's quite a good end field, because when you look at it, you've got Fleur de Lis, which has just made Maximus and itself stronger. We've got Cartasia coming from the deck, which is going to set up a Grand Grignol play. So there's actually a lot to be here. So now it's all going to be, and we've got punishment to deal with. So it's all going to be about a grind. It's all going to be about resource management. It's all going to be about how many cards I can have in my hand to trade 1-for-1 with all of the cards my opponent has. So we start off by imperming the Zoa. Did I imperm the Zoa? Why would I imperm the Zoa? I think there was a reason for it. Oh, that's it. Because the Zoa is unaffected by, I think it's extra deck monsters effects. So I was like, you know what? I'll imperm that so that I can then like bait it out. I can then have a way to destroy it via a monster effect later on. So there was theory in the madness rather than just going straight for Cartasia. Malong being sent off of the back of the Grand Grignol, which is fine. I've got the Medius of Pure in the graveyard, so I'm now going to be able to use the Medius of Pure effect. This is going to allow me to get access to Power Patron, and the Power Patron will then let me get into the rank 4 if I want to. But at the end of the day, as long as I've resolved the DoomZ 5 to get me the Drastria will then allow me to pretty much summon it down whenever I need to. So now this is the moment of trying to trade 1-for-1 with my opponent's interactions. So that Midius should be banished. We're still going to get the Power Patron. I'm pretty sure I banished that Midius in a second. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I correct that and banish that in a second. And we're pretty much just picking the field apart right now. So now that the Power Patron of Doom was destroyed, I get to search out the DoomZ Raiders. DoomZ Raiders is pretty good. So you can kind of see how we're now trading off. So Imperm traded off for the Zoa, the Medius de Pure without, the DoomZ 5 traded off with Cartasia. And it's probably a little bit of inexperience. And what I mean by that is it's a little bit of inexperience as to exactly how you deal with DoomZ, like not knowing what they can get into, like what card will lead to what and everything else like that. Because at the end of the day, if you just stop the DoomZ 5 resolving, I don't get the Drastria, which is where I'm going here. And now we're kind of in a fairly decent position, because if any effect is now activated, I can chain to target dodge. We've already played through Punishment. We've already played through Elder Entity Ints. We've already played through Cartasia. Like, the worst thing that could be coming now is if I summon, then the Grand Grignol can use its effect as well. So there's little bits to kind of remember, which is why we're trying to take it step by step a little bit here. It's a very, very good game as well overall. Very good back and forth game. Very, very good, like, exactly, this is the perfect example, right? I set up not the best of fields, but like a pretty generic DoomZ end field, and then my opponent's now, was able to break it, pick it apart a little bit, and now I've had to return by trying to pick my opponent's field apart. So it's a nice back and forth. Debating which Dogmatica to kind of like absorb. I'm going to take the Ecclesia, because obviously it can't be destroyed by effects, and then they used an effect, so they used the Ecclesia effect on the field, and then I use that to absorb the Ecclesia. So we've taken the Ecclesia, we've taken the Fleur de Lis, because the Fleur de Lis is the one that can make everything stronger. So once it starts making all the other cards stronger, I then struggle. There's the banish of the Medius the Pure from earlier. We destroy the Maximus via battle with DoomZ 12. Now the only issue that I've now realised is that all of my spell and trap zones are completely locked up. So if my opponent activates a monster effect, I need to get rid of one of my cards first. I do have the trap card, and the trap card is the one that I think it puts itself as material, if I remember rightly. Like, puts itself as material, but I think I might have read it wrong. I'm going to chain this one now anyway, and the trap card basically means my opponent cannot add cards from their deck to the hand. So by doing that, I shut off Nadir, and it's like done and dusted. Now, I need to check this. For some reason, I thought it absorbed. So I'm just gonna check the DoomZ trap card. I thought it. I keep saying absorbed. Absorbed as if it puts it as a material, but I think it just equips it. Target DoomZ wants you to try equip. Yeah, equip this card to it with the following effect. So it's equipped. It's not a material. I don't know why I thought it was the other way around. So I don't know why I've detached the material off of that. They're just kind of. I think maybe my brain was like, well, if the spell card equips, then that equips. Either way, so on the resolution of Maximus coming down, we use Winder, which means we don't need to worry, like nothing more is coming from my opponent. Like they're no longer going to be an additional special summon. They've got to send 2 from their extras. I've sent 2 from my extra. I've pretty much got nothing left here, but I'm kind of be holding out on the Drastria. Agitator is going to target to negate the Winder, which is pretty good here. Then we're going to use the second Dogmatica ritual spell, which I believe lets you banish from the graveyard and ritual back from the graveyard, which is pretty good. So that means that 4k boss monster's coming back, and I'm like, yo, can you not? I've got nothing left in my extra deck. So I had to get rid of the last one. I can't remember what I kept. Maybe I kept a Zeus. I could be wrong. So in theory, that trap card is still stuck along my spell and trap zones, by the way. That's not a clear spell and trap zone. So yeah, not really a huge amount. Very well played again on the Winder. So like to negate the Winder to then be able to open up their plays a little bit more. I think that's quite useful. So we're just talking about the Drastria using its effect to destroy another card I control. So this is now how I technically legally free up a spell and trap zone to give it an attack stat buff, which puts me on more attack, and then the spell card would destroy the Zoa, which is how we've kind of been able to air that. Anyway, moving into game 2. Now my opponent really catches me off guard here because I was like, oh, I'm going second. My opponent makes me go first, and I'm like, not ideal. Now they drop the Perulia, and which kind of makes sense because DoomZ will have their normal summon, and then they will have the level 8, which is what you're trying to get to. And I think this is where I learned my first lesson with the deck, is that you don't want to burn through your 8s. And I put 1/8 in the graveyard because it was the only other DoomZ I could destroy with Raiders to get to special summon me out 5, to then get me access to the second 8. And that's kind of where I really messed up, because with the grind state, you need your 8 in rotation. So that's another card that I would like them to get, is like probably more level 8 monsters, possibly. I wouldn't want to play, I don't think I want to play 3 Drastria, but I mean, looking at the way this one went, I probably would. So setting up the same play here. We've got Raigeki. Now, I'm kind of forced to chain the effect now, because Raigeki is chaining 1, chaining 2 will be going into the XZs, the Raigeki resolves to destroy this. And again, with hindsight, I probably should have put it in defense position. Spoiler alert. But going second, you can tell that my opponent's just putting all breakers, which is fine, absolutely fine, because that's kind of what I would expect. And yeah, it doesn't end the best way for me, not going to lie. Raigeki is just a really good card right now, this format. I already quite like it. So we're going to go for Thrust because we used Drastria to go into the XZs. And this can then lead into, again, another Raigeki if they're playing it. Or I think they go for a Lightning Storm. And if they don't go for a Lightning Storm, it means they already got it, if I remember rightly. So Nadir 7, like, Thrust into Nadir 7, so good. So good. Yeah, and then there comes the Lightning Storm, and I'm like, yeah, I've got nothing. So that's just going to go. I don't know why I was trying to get rid of the spell. That just doesn't go. And then Nadir 7, Ash. I was like, I held the Ash off the Thrust, because I was like, what's the worst they can get? I was like, I just Ash what they add. And if I don't Ash what I add, I Ash the Nadir 7. And then that's kind of the downside of playing so many breakers, is that the rest of your hand is only going to be starters. And then this is where I realised, I'm like, my most disruptive, most aggressive answer to this is both in the graveyard. So now it's just pass draw. So my opponent's opening up like breakers that they can't really use because I'm not putting any monsters on the field. Having a normal summon down a Fua, and this is how you're going to get an extra monster, extra deck monster on the field. So you get Almirage on the field. Fleur Delis can summon itself down. Tributing off this to protect the Fleur Delis so that you've got an extra deck monster in the graveyard for Maximus. Maximus comes out. So you can see that they hit like all the one-offs that have like particular requirements. So we're going to imperm the Maximus. I don't want them sending from their extra deck to get them access to the Ritual Monster. I mean, I don't mind sending from my extra deck, but... and now what we're trying to do is I'm trying to get access to a DoomZ card, because as soon as I get access to another DoomZ card, which it looks like I've just had, I can now activate the Raiders. The Raiders will then go off there. But when you do a lot of this back and forth of draw, pass, usually the reason that you're drawing and passing is because you're drawing loads of non-engine. You're drawing like hand traps, or you're drawing interactions. So you do need to be a little bit careful that once you can unlock your engine, that there could be like a very hidden surprise. And this is in the scenario where I really wish I had access to the rank at the level 8, because then rather than searching out 7, I would have searched out the level 8. And again, because I was going second, I'm pretty sure, or expecting to go second, I took the trap card out, which now means the best thing I do is make like a rank 4. Now, in a simplified game state like this, what would have been ideal for me to do would be make a rank 4, declare an attack, and then just Zeus upgrade it, and then kind of hold the Zeus for when the field becomes like an issue, like a presence that I can't really handle. But yeah, I mean, this is not ideal. This is the biggest learning curve that I had from this entire event, this entire locals when I was piloting this deck, is that you do need to be, your level 8s are very precious. To my knowledge, there's no way of getting them back from the graveyard. So, I think, again, that's probably something that could really be useful. I don't know if they've got that guaranteed in their upcoming support. But hopefully so. It'd be really nice to get more support for the deck. I quite enjoy it, and I've said it a couple of times, and I've pitched it to my friends a couple of times as well. I was like, it reminds me of Infernoble Knights, and it reminds me of Evil Eyes, because what you're doing is you're technically trying to protect your one card. So the Evil Eye strategy is it kind of feels like Surzeal, where you're giving it quick cards, you're making it stronger, you're making it weaker, and it has that, rather than destruction effect, it has that absorb effect, or like equipped effect. And then it's like Infernoble Knights, because you can play a range of equipped spells. So we play like Angelica's Ring in this. And I think it plays 4 equipped spells. It doesn't play like loads, but when you're looking at an Infernoble deck as well, Infernobles used to play like 4+. So it kind of has that feel to it. And the person I was trying to pitch it back to played Evil Eyes and Infernobles. And I was like, hey, look, there's a new deck around that can let you do this. So anyway, Punishment out's my rank 4. And I think it just gets to this point where I'm just checking that I did side out a card. And I was like, yeah, I did. Ultimately, I've already taken 4,000 damage. And I'm trying to think, like, bar my opponent misplaying or making a mistake, they should have this in the next turn. Time is getting close to being called. I think we are like 30-something minutes into no, more than that. Would be close to like 40 minutes into the clock. And I'm like, yeah, you draw and we'll pass, and then we'll go from that one. Now, I did the same to them on this one. I made them go first because I was like, maybe they're going to be on breakers. And because there was only like 3 minutes left on the clock, I either needed them to brick or not present that good of an end field for then to me to go as fast as I could with the aggression to pushing for the OTK, because obviously new time rules, we're both going to get a double loss. We need to go from here, and we'll see their hand, I believe, at the end of this, but you'll see kind of how unideal it is. Anyway, we've opened up pretty well. We've been able to go for Imseti. Imseti is then going to be able to go get us our King Sark, so we're going to go as aggressive as possible. Now, all I need to do, knowing that my opponent has just passed, I need to be very, very careful in the Nibiru. So this is why we're going to try and push as slowly as we possibly can. Well, not slowly as possibly can, sorry. As cautiously as we possibly can. So we're going to summon back Happy. We're going to summon back Inseti. We're now on our 5th summon. We go Battle Phase, and that's it. And then, yeah, you can see the end hand there being 2 Frosts, Lightning Storm, Fleur Delis, and Dogmatica Calamity, I believe it is. Anyway, really good duel. I really enjoyed that one. And yeah, it was kind of cool to pilot DoomZ at that local event. I don't know if I'm going to pilot something. I'm definitely going to be piloting something different at the next locals. I just haven't decided which one as of yet that I want to pilot, and kind of go from there. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Any questions at all, by all means, please put in the comments down below. I hope you enjoyed this and kind of go from there. So stay safe. And of course, happy dueling.